getting into the video. As you can tell by the thumbnail for the video, we're going to be going over the Seattle Seahawks. So all you Seahawks fans out there, this one's for you guys, okay? This one's for you.
Yes, sir.
But before we get into that, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn that notification bell on so you're notified anytime that we upload a video. Now, presenting the post-era Russell Wilson Seattle Seahawks. Dun dun dun.
Sad day. Sad day for him.
Yeah, but you got Drew Lock. I mean, we'll get into that though.
Mikey can account for a franchise quarterback leaving you guys in shambles.
Yeah.
As a Browns fan, I have no idea what that is because we've never had a franchise quarterback to begin with. So
That's true.
we're always in shambles. Welcome to our life.
Yep. Welcome to the club.
But yeah, like Mikey said, getting into the video, we'll kind of go over last year's stats and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit. They finished off the season 7-10. They were 16th in points scored, and then they were 11th in points allowed. So not bad. Their team grades, according to PFF, overall their team was 21st highest graded team. Their offense was 19th. Their defense was 15th. And their special teams is 32nd. Yikes.
Dead last.
Yeah, but like we said, that's just according to PFF, so take it as you with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I would say that their grading system's overall it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nothing's perfect, obviously, but getting into it, coaching changes. Ken Norton Jr. finally fired. The Seahawks finally got rid of him. He is the longtime defensive coordinator. He's had the last 4 years, so 2018 till now. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
So they went from, according to some Seahawks fans, when they got him, they went from a bend but don't break defense to officially a bend and then break defense. They were 17th in third down conversion, 19th in sacks. There's a bunch of stuff. But you guys finally changed the defensive coordinator. So I'm sure you guys are kind of happy about that. We'll see what happens, especially since you guys also decided to move on from another big name and leader on your guys' team and a Super Bowl winner and Bobby Wagner, who is now over with the Raiders.
Rams,
sorry. Los Angeles is just all I was thinking about, and they're not even Los Angeles anymore. They're Vegas. My bad. We'll get into the free agency period, though, for you guys for last year, and then we'll talk about the upcoming season. We'll throw it up there for you guys so you guys can see the free agency players that you guys have lost, cut or, traded. And obviously you've got Bobby Wagner up there who you guys cut, and he's now on the Rams. You guys got Russell Wilson. You guys traded to the Broncos. DJ Reed signed for the Jets. Ethan Pocic, he signed with the Browns. Not that that's going to hurt you guys at all. Rasheem Green signed with the Texans. Gerald Everett, he's with the Chargers now. And then you guys can see you guys lost 2 tackles. Carlos Dunlap left. And whatnot. So nothing huge apart from, the 2 big staples of your guys' team. And we'll kind of get into the ramifications of that, what's going to happen with the team. I mean, I'm sure you guys already know. You guys re-signed Quandre Diggs, Rashad Penny, Geno Smith, Will Dissly, Ryan Neal, Sidney Jones. You guys signed back a bunch of people, and then new players coming in. Defensive tackle Quentin Jefferson, he's not bad.
Uchenna Nwosu, linebacker from the Chargers.
Yep.
Noah Fant in that trade from the Broncos. Decent little tight end there, kind of fill in that spot. I think he can do some work there. You also got Shelby Harris from the Broncos as well in that Russell Wilson trade, and your new starting quarterback from the trade, Drew Lock. I think he's a little hated on. I think too much hated on. I mean, I think feel like he hasn't really been given a fair shot in the NFL. I mean,
I'd agree.
Drew Lock isn't terrible. I think he has some upside to him. I think
Mm.
he can be serviceable for sure, but I mean, you're not going to bank everything on him actually being super good. So, are they sucking for Stroud? Question mark. But we'll see. I think you give Drew Lock a chance for sure. Obviously, I would take him over Geno, just because Geno's been a backup for years and he was a starter for the first few years of his career, and we saw how that went. And he Geno was actually given a fair shot. So,
Like to me, I just don't see the upside with Gino.
mm-hmm,
Like you were saying, he's already started. Everyone knows what he is. He's gonna be what he has been. That's why he's still in the NFL as a backup.
yeah,
And then you've got like Drew Lock, who's come in, and obviously he's not great
yeah,
so far as what people have seen, but he's also been in a revolving door, and for the Broncos for the last few years,
mm-hmm,
and like Michael was saying, he hasn't really been given a fair chance.
yeah,
But I mean, like, what's the downside to starting him? Like, you guys already aren't looking great, or like it's going to be a competitive team, really, right?
yeah,
So if you start him and he sucks, and you guys lose, you guys still get a high pick.
yeah,
If he does good, then you're like, you know what? Maybe we don't have to spend that premium pick on a quarterback.
mm-hmm,
So I I don't see how it could be bad, really. I mean, I take that back. I can see how it's going to be bad. I just
yeah,
don't see like the drawbacks. Like wherever you set your expectations, depending on where you set them, if you're realistic, it can't be that bad because you're already going into the season probably knowing that this is a rebuilding year.
mm-hmm.
Um, we'll get into the draft now, Mike. You go ahead and you got the draft. Who do they pick up?
Well, at number 9 in the first round, they picked up Charles Cross. He's a tackle out of Mississippi State. For other people who may not know, dude is an absolute beast. Dog. He's a dog for sure. Definitely what they needed on that line. Great piece that they can add and just throw right in there. I think he can. I mean, he's obviously going to be a starter from day one, but I think he's ready to be a starter from day one. Is he going to go in there and play lights out? Who knows? You haven't seen him play in the NFL, so who knows? But I think he can make a immediate impact on that line for sure. I mean, the line was it was okay, but could definitely be better, and I think he can help make that better. And then in the second round, pick 40. Well, go ahead.
I was going to say one of the big problems for the Seahawks throughout the Russell Wilson era was the fact that they couldn't get a line around
Mm-hmm.
him. Like
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just seemed like they never were able to put just a sustainable line in front of him, and that was a huge problem. And it looked like in the draft they took that seriously this time. They put a lot into it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I like the second pick that they got as well.
Yep, they got Boya Mafe, edge out of Minnesota. Pass rusher, obviously, by playing edge. Super kind of underrated guy. Kind of flew under the radar a little bit. I know towards like the upcoming days of the draft, people were starting to notice him and whatever, but he's a good player, dude. He's got that motor. Dude never stops. He's 6'4", 261. Has great speed. He ran a 4.53 in the 40, which is pretty quick for 6'4", 261. That's pretty fast.
Yep.
I mean the only thing he really needs to work on is just his hand placement and everything, and trying to fight through some of those uh, blockers. But I mean he has great speed, and he can work on those mechanics and just where to put his hands in the NFL. You can coach that. So great pick for them there in the second round.
The only caveat to that is he is 24 already, so you can't really wait a couple years for him to start producing. He's kind of somebody that you need to come in and
Mm-hmm.
produce now, because if not, it's going to be very difficult to want to pay him a second contract.
Yeah.
But he's a very good player, so
And then the very next pick, pick 41, they picked up Kenneth Walker, running back out of Michigan State. Very good running back in college. I think with the running back room of Chris Carson and Rashard Penny, I think adding Kenneth Walker into the mix and being able to get him reps, and he's good. He has explosive speed. He's super talented, and I think he can carry most of that workload if need be. So
Yeah. The sad part for Chris Carson with that neck surgery, it looks like he's going to end up not playing football again.
oof.
Sad to
Well, there you
see.
go.
Feel bad for him, but
So basically, it's Rashad Penny now and Kenneth Walker.
pretty much. So Kenneth Walker is getting a really good chance to start.
Mm-hmm.
I like Rashard Penny coming out of San Diego State. I watched him a lot. I'm a big Boise State fan, so I watched him every year. He killed it in college, and I was like, this guy is for sure a great running back,
Mm-hmm.
and he just cannot play without staying healthy. Um, and once this is a coincidence, two might be a fluke, but when it's 3 years, 4 years in a row now, you just can't really put that expectation on him. And Chris Carson has been the same, so I think Kenneth Walker was kind of that insurance piece and kind of understanding these running backs kind of needed some help. So hopefully he can stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. And then also in the third round, adding to their offensive line once again, getting another tackle on Abraham Lucas out of Washington State. The dude's a beast. He put on a great show at the Senior Bowl. Was looking really good. He was kind of flying up people's draft boards towards the last few days of the draft. Played in the Pac-12, obviously Washington State, but not that SEC type guys. But that don't matter really. Just matters how good he is. He's good.
Yeah. And then their first fourth round pick, they picked Kobe Bryant, the cornerback out of Cincinnati. I really like this guy. He's the GOAT. Best basketball player of all time.
Yep.
I stand by that. Um, and then he took his talents to the football field,
Yep.
and he did very good, especially since he played across from Sauce Gardner. He got all the looks. And the stats put up for it. I mean, he had 35 passes defended, batted, four
Whatever.
forced fumbles, nine picks, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's good. He's really good at reading routes. He's got good eyes for the ball. He's confident in his decisions. He puts his foot in and he plants and he goes. He runs his mouth as all corners should, right? You kind of need that little psychotic mentality to
Gotta have that
make it in the
edge.
league. hmm And I think that he went a little bit late just because he doesn't have those like elite um, measurables and stuff and
Mm-hmm.
such. But I think he can be a starter in the NFL easily. I think he's super underrated. He may not be like your primetime number one, but being that 2-3 corner, I think he's a really good prospect.
Yep. But that rounds out about the most important picks in the draft. The other
Picked
guys
up
are.
Tyreek Woolen.
Yep.
He's good. Tyreek Woolen, cornerback out of UTSA. Tyreek Smith, edge rusher out of Ohio State. Bill Melton, wide receiver from Rutgers. And then Derek Young, wide receiver from Lenore Ryan. Interesting. Sounds like a Belichick pick right there.
It is. We actually picked Kyle Duggar from there.
Well, kind of ends off like the end of the off season. So that kind of brings us to like our five major points, that we've got for the Seahawks. First one, obvious, the end of the Russell Wilson era.
Mm-hmm.
What are the ramifications of that?
The ramifications. You got Drew Lock.
And Geno Smith?
Yeah. I don't know. Don't expect much as coming from a team or a fan of a team that lost Tom Brady, probably the greatest quarterback of all time. Don't expect much the next season. Even though you guys weren't doing that great with Russ still, but I mean, just look forward to other things that are to come in the future. And then, I mean, if you guys truly do suck it up this next year, then that's fine. You might end up getting a guy like Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud or Spencer Rattler or in
I
fact,
hope not.
there's one other guy that's actually pretty good, but I can't remember where he plays. Oh, who is it? It'll come to me. But getting one of those top 5 QBs that are in this next draft. So
Hopefully. A little consolation for you guys as a Browns fan. I've watched just dreadful football for many, many, many years of my life. And you got to look for like small things, like pick a player and see how they grow, see how this guy grows. Take the positives out of it. Go in there knowing that you're not going to be good. Don't expect to win, and then you can be pleasantly surprised instead of like upset and depressed. Because, and it's got to be a mindset that you guys are going into ready, because you guys have been, a spoiled fan base, because you guys have been good for a long time. I mean, you've had Russell Wilson for 10 years, and he is holding and tying all these Seahawks records: most pass attempts, most touchdowns in a season, most touchdowns as a rookie, most completed passes in his career, most completed passes in a season for you guys, most game played, most games started, most yards, most wins, most worth. Like you guys, like he's been your guys' team. He is he was there for the Super Bowl run and the time when the Seahawks looked like they were going to be the next franchise dynasty team coming out. So look forward to that. And then you guys do have a lot of picks coming up in the drafts with the Russell Wilson trade, which, in all honesty, if you look at it, like, it sucks that you guys are losing Russell Wilson, but he was on the decline for the last couple of years. It was quite noticeable, compared to what he normally puts up, and you guys weren't winning with him. So cutting your losses and getting that huge haul that you guys did could help you. Now, having all those picks don't matter if you can't hit on them, but you've
Hmm.
got those picks. You've got that ability. So that makes, football season's kind of a bummer because you lose a lot and that's not fun. But then when the season's over, that draft time for when you guys are looking at who you guys could bring up and draft potentially, that makes football fun for you again. You get that off season, that's great. So there are some positives that you can look at. It's not all just
Terrible.
doom and gloom. Um, Obviously, the end of Bobby Wagner, he's gone. So you guys have a new regime back there. Um, I'm curious to see how well you guys do now without the leading tackler in the NFL. If it's like a huge difference, um, I would say it is, because you guys had a pretty decent defense last year. It wasn't elite, but it was good. And not only you're losing like your biggest veteran and biggest leader, but you guys are also losing uh, your coach and system. So there's going to be a brand new look for them out there.
Hmm.
And that's kind of like a mute point. Those are the two ones we've already kind of gone over it, but then kind of getting into like questions for the upcoming season and after the fact. Um, Looking at it, where's the 2023 cap gone? Like you guys have, I think it's like 16 million in cap. Let me look really quick for you. I have it right here. Yeah, you guys have 16 million in cap space for the upcoming year. And doing some research and then having a brother that's a Seahawks fan and living in, you know, Northwest area, I know a lot of Seahawks fans, and it's pretty well known that the Seahawks quite often have been wasting money on like scrubs, and they don't pay their stars. It's kind of like the sentiment. But for next year, you guys are paying Quandre Diggs 18 mil,
Hmm.
Nwosu 12.8 mil, Will Disley 9.25 mil, which is just ridiculous if you ask me. That one just makes no sense. Noah Fant 6.8, Quentin Jefferson 6, Charles Cross 4.9, and Brian Moan 3.7, 3.8 technically. So that's $62 million of the cap basically.
Hmm.
That's just crazy to think about.
I mean, Quandre Diggs is okay, but 18 million? Is he
I mean, it's not bad if you have like a team around him as well,
Yeah.
but you don't. So that's a lot of money to be putting on there.
Yeah.
But kind of going back to what I was saying with like pissing away the money. I mean, they had 7 million on cap just for Greg Olson, who was there for what, like a year, and he was
Hmm.
very well in the twilight of it. 6 million for Bruce Irvin, 4 million for B.J. Finney, 4 million for Quentin Dunbar, like over 3 million for Jacob Hollister. Like it just doesn't. That's a lot of money when you could be going like you're paying a lot of money for guys that are just kind of depth pieces that weren't making huge impacts. That's not really what you want to do per se. So with this new team and the fact that you guys know you're rebuilding, I'm curious on how they're going to be spending money, because they've always kind of been in like, we got to win. We have a great team. We'll see. Kind of like sidestepping really quick. Mikey, do they sign DK Metcalf? Do they re-sign him, or does he ask to leave?
I think he'll ask to leave. I know he's all about the Seahawks right now, but I think after this year he's going to be a little fed up.
Okay,
So I
and
think he's
then
out the door.
like we were talking about, Seahawks fans, comment down below. Even not Seahawks fans, anybody. Does DK Metcalf ask to leave? Let us know your thoughts. One of the final. Well, we kind of that the DK Metcalf thing. We just kind of hit that point. That was one of our other points. So now down to the final point. What is the front office and Pete Carroll trying to do? Where do you think this team is going? And I mean, obviously they're in a rebuild, but how much longer can Pete Carroll coach? Does he want to go through a rebuild? Going through a rebuild is tough because it's like a 2 to 3 year process at minimum in football, especially when you lose like an all-star quarterback like Russell Wilson. That's a huge step. Like you have to draft a quarterback, and then you don't really know what he is, and for at least 2 years basically, unless you have a freak like Herbert or Mahomes. You find out right away. Like even Josh Allen, it took like 3 years to even kind of realize that you had something really special there.
Yeah.
So I'm curious on what they're gonna do.
Who knows? Suck for Stroud.
Suck for Stroud. That would be my pick. I mean, this is before the college season and seeing like what growth people have, but I think the CJ Stroud's gonna be legit. I think he's the for sure thing.
Dude, that dude can sling that football. That dude is incredible. I would suck for Stroud for sure.
Right. But we kind of like to end these videos off with like the record. You guys were 7-10 last year. Mikey, what do you think? They're going to be worse? They stay the same or get better than from that 7-10 record last year?
I think they're.
And then where do you think they're going to be at?
I think they're going to be slightly worse, maybe a game or two, if that. Not saying like, oh my, there's not a big difference between Russell Wilson and Drew Lock. There obviously is, but I think Drew Lock can do what Russell Wilson has been doing these past couple years, or at least this past year. At least I think he could potentially get him 7-10. So no hate to Russ. Russ was good and everything, but he is on the downhill, and he showed it for the But
yeah, he's hurt.
He's getting hurt a lot now, getting older. So I mean I'd say maybe around the same game less, if that.
I'm a little bit more pessimistic. I think they're going to get worse. I don't see them a route winning 7 games, especially in that division with the Rams, the Niners, the Cardinals, who are all on the opposite trend of going up. Cardinals not as much as the Rams and Niners, but they still are building up. They feel like they have something special there. But if you guys have made it to the end of this video, we do appreciate it. Make sure you guys hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, press the notification bell so you guys are notified when we make more videos, and you guys will see you next time for another video. Deuces.
Peace out.